I'm proud of you, Lena, my mother said, her voice sharp as glass. You've learned to stay quiet when needed. That's how women earn respect. I smiled faintly. Yes, mother. Inside, I hated how small my voice sounded. Every dinner felt like a performance. My father spoke about deals and reputation. My mother corrected my posture. And Ethan, my fiancé, sat beside me, scrolling through his phone like I wasn't even there. Ethan, I whispered, nudging his arm. You haven't eaten. He glanced up briefly. Just busy, Lena. Don't make a scene. A scene. That word echoed in my head. I folded my hands under the table. When dinner ended, my parents lingered in the living room. I stood near the hallway, half hidden behind the wall. I didn't mean to listen, but their voices carried. She's obedient, my father said. That's good. Ethan's family will see her as proper. After marriage, we'll finalize the joint deal. She doesn't need to love him, my mother replied coldly. She just needs to behave. My heart froze. Love? They didn't care. It wasn't about me. It was about appearances, money, the Valen name. I backed away quietly, afraid the sound of my breathing would give me away. My chest felt heavy, like something inside had cracked. Later that night, I sat in my room, staring at my reflection. The girl in the mirror looked polite, perfect, empty. I pressed my fingers to my throat. Why can't I speak louder? I whispered. The next morning, Ethan picked me up for brunch. His car smelled like new leather and cologne. You look tired, he said, glancing at me. Don't stress over small things. Small things? I asked softly. Like my parents treating me like a business deal? He sighed. Lena, they're just practical people. You should be too. So I should marry for strategy? He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. You're overthinking again. You always do this. His words stung, not because they were cruel, but because he truly believed them. I stared out the window. Ethan, do you even love me? He paused, then laughed under his breath. Why ask something you already know the answer to? I didn't reply. My silence felt like surrender. When he dropped me home, I didn't say goodbye. I just walked to my room, closed the door, and sat on the floor. My hands trembled, but my eyes stayed dry. That's when I realized something simple. Something terrifying. My voice didn't matter to any of them. Maybe it never had. And maybe the only way they'd hear me was when I finally stopped whispering. Ethan, are we still having dinner tonight? I asked over the phone, trying to sound calm. There was a pause, then his sigh. I'm swamped, Lena. Can we do it another night? That's the third time this week. I told you. Work's insane right now. I bit my lip. You used to sound happy when I called. Don't start with that again, he muttered. You know I care. I'm just tired. I forced a smile no one could see. Okay, rest well. When the call ended, the quiet in my room felt heavier than his voice. I stared at the dinner I'd made for two, now just mine. The next day, Claire called. Her laughter filled the line. Ethan's been working himself to death, hasn't he? Yeah, I said softly. He barely sleeps. She chuckled. You worry too much. Men like him get bored easily, Lena. Don't suffocate him. The words stung. He's my fiancé, Clara, not a stranger. Of course, she said smoothly. Just don't cling. You're too gentle. Men like a challenge. Her tone lingered long after the call ended. Later that week, Ethan came by to grab a few things he'd left. He was distant, distracted, scrolling through his phone as I spoke. You haven't looked at me in days, I said quietly. He didn't even glance up. Don't be dramatic, Ethan. I'm trying to start a fight. He interrupted. You always think something's wrong. I don't think, I feel. I snapped before I could stop myself. He looked up then, his eyes cold. You're too emotional, Lena. That's your problem. The words cut deeper than he knew. When he left, I sat on the couch staring at the cushion he'd leaned on. The space already cold. Later that night, I picked up his phone from the coffee table. He'd forgotten it. The screen lit up with a message. Clara, last night was unforgettable. I can still taste you. My breath caught. My hands shook. For a moment, I thought it had to be some joke. But the thread went on. Weeks of messages, photos, words that used to be mine. My chest tightened until I couldn't breathe. I set the phone down like it burned. When Ethan came back for it, I waited by the door. I saw your messages, I said flatly. His face froze. Then he laughed softly. You're snooping now? Seriously? Is it true? He shrugged. You're overreacting. Clara and I were just talking. Talking? My voice cracked. She said she could taste you. He rolled his eyes. God, Lena, you twist everything. You've always been too sensitive. Something inside me snapped. Don't turn this on me. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're lucky I don't walk away right now. Grow up. My mother appeared in the doorway. What's going on here? I turned toward her, shaking. He cheated on me. Her expression didn't change. Lower your voice, Lena. People can hear. Mom, don't embarrass us, she hissed. We'll talk privately. Ethan straightened his jacket. I'll see myself out. The door closed behind him, leaving silence thicker than before. I stood there for a long time, staring at my mother, at the emptiness behind her calm eyes. Then I walked past her without a word. That night, I didn't cry. Not once. I just sat by the window, feeling something deep inside me harden, something I'd never felt before. It wasn't heartbreak. It was awakening. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and fake laughter. I stood near the corner table, holding a glass I couldn't drink from. My dress felt too tight, my smile too fragile. Lena, you look lovely, my mother said, adjusting my shoulder strap. Keep your posture straight. The cameras are everywhere. I nodded. Yes, mother. She gave me a thin smile. Good girl. Ethan will be proud you came. Proud. I almost laughed. When Ethan entered, the room shifted. People greeted him like royalty. Clara was beside him, her hand brushing his arm comfortably. My heart stumbled. Lena. Clara's voice rang out. You're here. She hugged me, her perfume thick, her smile too bright. I forced a breath. Of course. Wouldn't miss it. Ethan's eyes flicked toward me, cool and unreadable. You look fine, he said. Fine, I repeated softly. Thanks. He turned away before I finished speaking. Clara giggled at something he whispered. I watched them dance, his hand on her back, hers on his shoulder. Every step cut a little deeper. Sophie, my co-worker, appeared beside me. You okay? Perfect, I whispered. You sure? I'm just tired. She frowned. You look like you're watching a car crash in slow motion. Maybe I am. The music changed. A host stepped on stage, grinning. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise tonight. I froze as Ethan took the microphone. Clara's face glowed in the spotlight. Tonight, he began, his voice confident. I want to celebrate love, unexpected, honest, and true. My pulse hammered. He turned to Clara, took her hand, and knelt. Clara Reed, will you marry me? Gasps filled the room. My glass slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. The sound echoed in my chest. Someone whispered, wasn't he engaged to Lena Vallon? Ethan smiled at the crowd. She ended things. It wasn't right between us. I'm glad we both found peace. My breath hitched. Ended things? Peace? I couldn't move. My parents clapped politely, pretending nothing was wrong. My mother leaned toward me, whispering through her smile. Don't make a scene. Smile. Smile? My voice cracked. He's lying. Lena, she hissed. Our family's watching. Claire squealed, hugging Ethan as the audience cheered. He slipped the ring, my ring, on her finger. I whispered, that's mine. My father's hand tightened on my arm. Don't ruin the evening. I pulled away, my voice trembling. You knew? He didn't answer. The applause grew louder, drowning me out. My knees buckled. Sophie caught my arm, eyes wide. Lena, breathe. I shook my head. He said he loved me. Then he's a coward, she said quietly. I looked at Ethan one last time. His smile was charming, flawless. Practiced the same smile that once promised forever. I turned away before my tears could fall. As I walked toward the exit, I heard Clara's laughter behind me, bright and cruel. My mother called out softly, Lena, where are you going? Home, I said without turning. You can't just leave. I already left, I whispered, stepping into the cold night air. Outside, the city lights blurred through my tears. My heels clicked against the pavement like a metronome, marking the end of something sacred. Sophie caught up with me near the car. You don't deserve this. I know. My voice was steady now. But they'll see. One day, they'll see. She hesitated. What will you do? I met her eyes. I'm done being silent. The night wind stung my face. But for once, I didn't hide from it. Behind me, applause still echoed through the walls, the sound of my world collapsing. I walked away. Without looking back. That was the moment I stopped being the girl who whispered and started becoming the woman they'd regret underestimating. The apartment smelled like new paint and emptiness. One room, one window, one bed. It was quiet enough to hear my own heartbeat. I dropped my phone on the counter. It buzzed nonstop messages, calls, missed notifications. Ethan, you're overreacting. Clara, please don't hate me. It just happened. Mom, come home. People are talking, always talking. I hit delete. The silence that followed felt almost holy. Sophie called next. I hesitated, then answered. Hey, Lena, where are you? In a place where no one can tell me how to breathe, I said. She exhaled. Good, you need that. Everyone at the office is gossiping, but don't listen to them. I'm not, I said quietly. I'm done listening to anyone. Do you have food? Money? I'll manage. You sound calm. Maybe calm is what happens after everything burns. Sophie went silent for a moment. You deserve peace, Lena. Not peace, I whispered. Clarity. After the call, I sat on the floor, staring at the city lights through the thin curtains. Each one blinked like a heartbeat I'd lost. I picked up a notebook and wrote, Day 1, I am angry. And I am allowed to be. The pen trembled in my hand, but the words stayed. For the first time, they felt like mine. A message popped up again. My mother. Mom. This behavior is childish. You're humiliating the family. I typed back, then let the family feel what humiliation tastes like. Then I deleted it before sending. Instead, I threw the phone on the couch and muttered, They'll remember me when it's too late. The next morning, I ran. Not away, just forward. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but the pain felt clean. When I got back, I made coffee, opened my laptop, and searched for work. Anything that didn't have the Valen name attached to it. Hours later, Sophie texted again. You're trending online. I laughed out loud. Of course I am. Then I saw the posts, people dissecting my life like gossip fodder. Poor Lena, the cheated bride. Maybe she wasn't enough. I turned off the screen. For the first time, I didn't cry. I didn't even shake. I looked at my reflection in the window, hair messy, eyes hollow, but there was something new in my gaze. Fire. I whispered to it. You're not weak. You just forgot your voice. The reflection didn't argue. I opened the notebook again. Day 2, they can bury my name, but not my truth. That night, I cleaned, rearranged, and unpacked my life piece by piece. Every broken thought had a place, every scar a reason. Before bed, I said softly, You did it. You survived the first day. The city hummed outside, unaware of my quiet rebellion. For years, I'd been told silence was virtue, but now, my silence had teeth, and it was hungry. The elevator doors closed behind me with a soft hiss. My new badge read, Elena Vale Jr. Analyst. A name that wasn't mine, but felt like freedom. First day, a voice asked beside me. I turned. A tall man with calm eyes and a small, unreadable smile leaned against the wall. Yes, I said. Nervous apparently. He nodded once. You'll fit in. Nervous people, pay attention. Is that good? It's rare. He stepped out before I could ask more. Someone whispered his name as he passed. Dr. Adrian Cole. By noon, I'd already learned 3 things. The coffee was terrible, the pace was brutal, and Adrian Cole was the one everyone feared and respected in equal measure. Vale, he called from his office door. Walk with me. I followed, clutching my notebook. You came from a small firm? He asked. Yes. Why leave? I needed a fresh start. He gave me a sidelong glance. From what? I hesitated. My past version of myself. He didn't press. Good answer. We stopped by the conference room. Charts lined the wall, numbers, names, projections. I recognized one instantly. Valen Industries. My family's company. Adrian tapped the chart. They've dominated for decades, but they're slipping. We're taking that market in 6 months. My throat tightened. You sound confident. I don't do confidence, he said dryly. I do data. Confidence fails. Strategy doesn't. He turned to me. You look pale. Something wrong? Just the coffee, I said. He raised a brow but didn't comment. Then drink tea. We need clear minds here. The meeting started. I kept quiet, taking notes as people argued about numbers and projections. Adrian cut through every discussion like a knife. His words were measured, precise, and strangely comforting. After the meeting, he stopped me again. You didn't speak once. I was listening. Listening's useful. Speaking's power. Next time, choose both. I managed a faint smile. I'll try. Don't try. Do. That became our rhythm, his sharpness, my quiet focus. Weeks blurred into months. My confidence returned piece by piece, stitched together by work, exhaustion, and small victories. One evening, he caught me still typing after hours. "You're not paid to self-destruct." "I'm fine." He leaned against my desk. "You remind me of someone I used to know." "Who?" "Someone who thought surviving meant not feeling." I met his gaze. Maybe she was right. He studied me for a long moment. "Pain can destroy you, or it can define you. You choose." The words sank deep, heavy and unshakable. I asked quietly, "Which one did you choose?" He smiled faintly. "Depends on the day." When he left, I sat there, staring at the screen until the numbers blurred dot in the reflection of the monitor. I saw a woman I barely recognized. Steady, focused, unbreakable. Elena Vale. The name fit now. Later that night, I called Sophie. "You sound different," she said. "I am. Better? Stronger," I said. "And that's better than before." As I hung up, I whispered to myself, "They'll remember me when I'm the one standing above the ashes." And for the first time, it didn't sound like revenge. It sounded like purpose. "Vale, give me numbers that beat theirs," Adrian said, leaning over the table. I opened my laptop. "If we revise the bid by 2% and include post-launch support, they won't match it." "Too generous," he countered. "Not if it secures the contract." He studied me, fingers tapping. "You sound certain." "I am. Convince me." I met his eyes. "Because Valen Industries won't risk another lost quarter. Their liquidity's tight. They'll undercut but can't deliver the long-term service clause. We can." He paused, then smiled. "You've done your homework." "I like winning." "Then let's win." The room buzzed as the team finalized figures. I guided them through projections, hiding the ache in my chest. Every time I said Valen Industries, "Vale, where'd you learn to read markets like that?" one analyst asked. I shrugged. "Experience. Past job?" "Something like that." When the presentation ended, Adrian clapped his hands once. "Good work, everyone. Submit the final proposal by morning." "Vale, stay." The others filed out. He leaned against the desk. "You were unusually sharp today." I had motivation. He smiled faintly. "Care to share?" "Let's just say I wanted the right people to lose." He raised a brow. "Revenge? Correction." His eyes lingered on me. "Fair enough." 2 days later, the announcement came. Our company Creston Dynamics secured the national logistics contract. The same one Valen Industries had spent months pursuing. I watched the news in the break room, pretending to sip coffee while my heart pounded. Creston Dynamics triumphs over long-standing industry giant Valen Industries. In landmark deal. The headline glowed on screen like justice in pixels. A reporter's voice followed. Analysts say Valen Industries' new management, led by Ethan Gray, failed to adapt to market changes. I froze. "Ethan, so he was running it now?" Someone behind me whistled. "That's huge. They just crushed a dynasty." "About time," another said. "Valen's been untouchable for years." I smiled faintly. "Not anymore." Adrian walked in, phone in hand. "We did it," he said simply. I met his eyes. "You mean you did?" "No," he set the phone down. "We did. You led the pivot." I tried to sound casual. "Just strategy. Don't downplay it. You saw something the rest of us missed." I looked back at the screen. Ethan's photo appeared, tired eyes, forced grin. The once perfect man now looked human. Adrian's voice broke my thoughts. "You should celebrate." "I don't drink." "Then smile." "That'll do." I turned to him and really did. It felt strange, like using muscles I'd forgotten existed. He noticed. "That's the first genuine smile I've seen from you. Maybe it's the taste of winning." He chuckled. "Dangerous habit. Don't let it consume you." "Too late," I said softly. He tilted his head. "You're full of secrets, Vale." "Everyone is," I replied. When he left, I stared at the screen again. Ethan's downfall had just begun. My family's silence would soon follow. But no one here knew that the woman who'd helped destroy Valen Industries once carried its name. And for now, I intended to keep it that way. The ballroom lights were almost blinding, gold chandeliers, silver gowns, laughter that sounded rehearsed. Creston's annual gala. Another performance. But this time, I wasn't the quiet girl in the corner. "Vale," Adrian said, walking beside me. "You don't like crowds, do you?" "I like watching them," I replied. "You learn more when you're silent." He smirked, still mysterious. Before I could answer, I heard a voice, sharp, familiar. "Ethan, come on. They're waiting for us." I froze. That name, That tone. Clara stepped into view like a ghost wrapped in sequins, smiling to wide, holding Ethan's arm as if the world belonged to her. The ring on her finger caught the light. My ring. My stomach tightened, but I kept my face calm. Adrian noticed the shift. You know them? Once, I said quietly. A lifetime ago. Clara laughed with a group of executives tossing her hair. She hadn't seen me yet. Ethan looked older, tired, worn at the edges. The sight should have hurt. Instead, it felt like watching a stranger. Adrian leaned closer. You look like you're preparing for war. Just an unexpected reunion, I murmured. Moments later, Clara's gaze flicked across the room and landed on me. She froze mid-laugh. For a second, she didn't move. Then she excused herself and walked toward me, her heels clicking like gunshots. Lena, her voice trembled. I smiled. No, it's Elena now. Her painted smile faltered. You look different. I should hope so. She glanced at Adrian beside me, then back at me. You work here? I do, I said smoothly. Strategic development. Impressive, she said, though her tone dripped disbelief. I thought you disappeared. People disappear when others erase them, I said. But some of us come back. She swallowed. Ethan didn't mean to spare me, I interrupted. We both know what he meant to do. Her jaw clenched. He regrets it, you know. What happened? Does he? I tilted my head. Funny, I don't. Adrian cleared his throat softly beside me. Everything all right here? Clara turned toward him, her charm snapping back on. Perfectly fine. Just catching up with an old friend. I wouldn't call us that, I said quietly. Adrian's gaze flicked between us. Then perhaps this conversation's over. Clara's lips twitched. You've changed, Lena. It's Elena, I repeated, letting the name slice cleanly through the air. She stared at me for a long moment, searching for the fragile girl she'd once betrayed. But she wouldn't find her. Finally, she forced a smile. Well, good for you. Reinvention suits you. It does, I said. You should try it. Her eyes narrowed before she turned and walked away, her composure cracking just enough for me to see it. Adrian looked at me curiously. Old friend? Old wound, I corrected. He nodded slowly. You handled that well. Years of practice. We stood in silence, the music swelling around us. Across the room, Ethan was watching confused, maybe recognizing something in the woman who now looked him in the eye without flinching. Adrian whispered, whoever she was, you buried her well. I took a slow breath. She buried herself. I just learned to live after. As the night went on, I smiled, shook hands, and made deals. But inside, one truth burned steady: the past had found me. And this time, I wasn't the one who would break. Have you seen this? Sophie asked, sliding her phone across my desk. A headline glared back at me. Valin Industries scandal: CEO's private affairs and financial misconduct exposed. I forced a neutral expression. People love drama. Drama? She lowered her voice. Ethan Gray's name is everywhere. His wife's suing him for infidelity. My pulse skipped, but I shrugged. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? Sophie frowned. You sound like you're talking about the weather. Because it's not my storm, I said, closing the article. But it was. Every word of it. Adrian's voice came from the doorway. Vale, a minute? I followed him into his office. He gestured for me to sit. You've been distracted lately. I'm fine. He leaned back. You don't look fine. And I don't buy the act anymore. What act? The one where you pretend nothing touches you. I met his gaze. Maybe nothing does. He tilted his head. Lies. You flinch every time Valin Industries is mentioned. My throat tightened. It's work, Adrian. Nothing personal. People don't breathe like that over work, he said softly. Who are you really angry at, him or yourself? I looked away. Both. He didn't push further. Just said, whatever it is, don't let it rot you. You've built something stronger. Don't hand it back to the people who broke you. The words hit deeper than I wanted them to. Later that day, I saw more headlines. Clara Reed Gray caught in secret affair. Ethan Gray under investigation for embezzlement. The empire they destroyed me for was collapsing. Sophie appeared again, wide-eyed. They're ruined. Both of them. I noticed. I said quietly. Do you feel I don't know, happy? I should, I whispered. But I don't. That night, Adrian found me alone in the office, staring out the window. You're still here, he said. So are you. He smiled faintly. Touch. What are you thinking about? Justice, I murmured. And how it never looks the way you expect. He stepped closer. You wanted them to suffer. I wanted them to understand, I said. But now that they do, I feel empty, because you're not cruel, no matter how much you wish you were. I laughed softly. You give me too much credit. No, he said. You give yourself too little. The room went quiet, only the hum of the city below. He leaned against the desk. You're not as cold as you pretend to be, Elena. I looked at him. You shouldn't call me that here. Then tell me what to call you. I hesitated. I don't even know anymore. He smiled, almost sadly. Then start figuring it out. You can't live in someone else's ashes forever. I turned toward the window again. Ethan used to say love was supposed to make you better. Did it? It made me blind, I said. But maybe blindness was mercy. He studied me quietly. You still care about him. I care about who I was when I loved him, I admitted. The girl who thought being kind was enough. And now I know kindness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. Adrian nodded. Then maybe this isn't their downfall, it's yours ending. I met his gaze. You make it sound poetic. It's not, he said softly. It's survival. Outside, the city lights flickered like broken promises. I whispered, funny how the truth ruins everything and heals you at the same time. He smiled faintly. That's life, Elena. I breathed out slowly. Then I guess I'm finally living. The email arrived at dawn. Subject: Merger announcement, Creston Dynamics x Valen Industries. My hand froze above the keyboard. For a long minute, I just stared at the screen. Sophie burst into my office a few hours later. You've seen it, right? It's official. I've seen it, I said quietly. You okay? I'm about to walk into a room with ghosts, I murmured. She frowned. Then haunt them back. I almost smiled. That's the plan. By noon, Adrian called me into his office. He stood by the window, arms folded. You'll lead the negotiation team. You know Valen's structure better than anyone. I met his eyes. Yes, I do. You sound personal about it. Because it is, I admitted. He studied me for a moment. Do I want to know why? Not yet. He nodded once. Then make sure you win. The boardroom was colder than I remembered. Same glass table, same tension in the air. When I entered, the room fell silent. My father sat at the head, my mother beside him, Ethan across the table, Claire at his side. Their faces twisted from confusion to disbelief. Good afternoon, I said calmly, setting my files on the table. Let's begin. Ethan's jaw tightened. You're representing Creston? I am, I replied, chief strategist for the merger. Claire's voice trembled. You how I smiled faintly. By working, something you both avoided. My father's hand slammed the table. Lena, what have you done? I met his eyes. What you taught me survive. The room went still. My mother's lips parted, but no sound came out. Ethan leaned forward. You planned this, didn't you? You wanted revenge. Revenge? I repeated softly. No, this is business. You destroyed us. Clara hissed. Your greed did that, I said. I just pointed out the cracks. My father's voice shook. You used insider knowledge. That's betrayal. Betrayal? I almost laughed. You taught me that word long before I learned strategy. Adrian entered then, calm as always. Is there a problem? My father glared at him. You're letting her run this? She's the reason you're still at the table, Adrian said evenly. Without her, you'd be bankrupt. My father turned back to me, eyes filled with something between fury and regret. You could have come home. I did, I said quietly. Just not the way you wanted. Ethan's voice broke. Lena, please, I cut him off. You don't get to say my name anymore. He looked down, defeated. Clara shifted uncomfortably beside him. I gathered my papers. The proposal terms are in front of you. I suggest you read carefully. You're signing your survival, not your pride. Adrian gave me a nod, signaling it was time to go. As I reached the door, my father called after me. You've changed. I paused. No, I said softly. You just never saw me before. The door closed behind me. For the first time, the ghost stayed in the room and I walked out alive. Adrian stood by the window, his arms crossed. The evening light painted the office gold, but his voice was cold. Your name isn't Elena Vale. I froze. Who told you? He turned slowly. It doesn't matter who. What matters is why you lied. I met his gaze, steady but tense. Because truth never protected me. He studied me quietly. Lena Valen, daughter of Marcus Valen, the same man whose company you helped dismantle. Yes, my voice barely rose above a whisper. I did. He took a step closer. Why hide it? Because people see the name and stop listening. I needed a life that wasn't built on theirs. He nodded once. And now that you've taken everything from them, are you satisfied? I exhaled slowly. No, I thought I would be. Then what did you want? He asked softly. Justice, I said. But somewhere along the way, it started feeling like survival. He walked closer, stopping just a breath away. You wanted justice. But what do you want now? I hesitated. Peace, maybe forgiveness, but not theirs, my own. He smiled faintly, sadness in his eyes. You're not the villain you think you are. I shook my head. I don't need to be forgiven. I just need to stop bleeding. Then stop, he said simply. You don't have to keep fighting ghosts. I looked away. They're not ghosts. They're still breathing. He sighed. Then face them. End it properly. That night, I drove back to the Vallon mansion. The gates opened automatically. My name still triggered the system. The air smelled like roses and old memories. Inside, the house was silent. Too clean. Too empty. My footsteps echoed against marble floors that once carried my laughter. I walked down the hall toward my old room. When I opened the door, it hit me the space was stripped bare. No photos, no books, not even a trace of me left. Just pale walls and dust. I whispered to the emptiness. So this is what you wanted erased. My mother's voice startled me from the doorway. Lena? I turned slowly. I came for closure, not conversation. She hesitated. You destroyed your father. Wasn't that enough? Destroyed? I laughed softly. He built his empire on silence. I just stopped being quiet. He loved you, she said, her voice trembling. No, I replied. He loved control. And you loved pretending it was care. Her eyes filled, but she didn't move. Why come back? To leave properly. I took out the folded paper from my bag and set it on the empty desk. Don't worry. It's not a threat. She stared at it, afraid to touch it. What does it say? I met her eyes one last time. It says, you silenced me. Now I speak with power. Her lips parted, but I didn't wait for her words. As I walked out, she whispered, Lena, what happens to you now? I paused at the door. Whatever I choose. Outside, the night air was cool, almost kind. I looked up at the mansion's windows, dark and hollow. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just release. The past had lost its grip, and I was finally free to speak. The front desk called me just after noon. Miss Vale, the receptionist said nervously. There's a man here asking for you. He says it's urgent. Name? I asked, though I already knew. Ethan Gray. I closed my laptop slowly. Send him up. When the elevator doors opened, he looked nothing like the man I once loved. His suit was wrinkled, his tie missing, his eyes hollow. Lena, he said, voice cracking. It's Elena. I corrected softly. He flinched. Right, Elena. Can we talk? You're already talking. He ran a hand through his hair. Everything's gone. The company investors pulled out. Clara left. I have nothing. I leaned back against my desk. Then I guess you finally understand what nothing feels like. Don't do this, he whispered. Please. Do what? Look at me like I'm a stranger. I held his gaze. You are. He took a shaky step closer. I made mistakes. No, I said calmly. You made choices. He swallowed hard. I thought I was doing the right thing by humiliating me in front of hundreds of people. I interrupted. By marrying the woman who called herself my best friend. He winced. It wasn't love with her. It was pressure, image. Everything got out of control. Everything was always about control, I said. You just lost yours. He looked around my office, at the awards on the wall, the Creston logo behind my desk. You really did it. You built something without them. Without me. Yes, I said. And it's not revenge. It's freedom. He laughed bitterly. You always had that fire. I just didn't see it. No, I corrected. You saw it. You just preferred me silent. His voice cracked. Lena, I'm begging you, help me. I don't know what to do. Help you? I repeated, letting the word hang between us. Did you help me when I begged you to believe me? When you called me too emotional? He looked down. I was scared. I didn't know how to handle you when you started standing up for yourself. That's because you wanted a shadow, not a partner. He stepped closer. We can start over. I almost smiled. Start over? Ethan, I had to start over because of you. His eyes glistened. I loved you. Maybe, I said. But love without respect is just control dressed in pretty words. He took another step, desperate. Please, I've lost everything. You're the only one left who ever saw me. I shook my head. I saw what I wanted to believe. That's not the same thing. He reached out as if to touch my arm, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Ethan. Lena, I met his eyes one last time. You'll survive. You always do. But this time, you'll do it without using me as your lifeline. He stood there, speechless, as I turned toward the window. Behind me, the door clicked shut. Outside, the city pulsed with life. My reflection in the glass was calm, steady. For the first time, he wasn't my ending. He was proof that I'd already healed. The office was quiet after hours, the city glowing beyond the glass walls. Adrian stood by the window, sleeves rolled up, eyes lost in thought. You're still here, I said softly. He turned, faintly smiling. So are you. I couldn't sleep, I admitted. Too much noise in my head. Noise or guilt? Both, I said. Maybe they sound the same after a while. He walked closer. You did what you had to do, Lena. It's Elena now. I reminded him automatically. He tilted his head. No, it's both. You don't have to erase who you were to be who you are. I sighed, leaning against the desk. You make everything sound simple. It's not, he said. But it's honest. For a moment, silence filled the room, heavy but safe. He studied me quietly. You've been carrying this alone for too long. I'm used to it. That's not a good thing. It's survival, I said. He shook his head. Survival isn't living. I looked down. I don't even know what living feels like anymore. He stepped closer, close enough for me to feel the warmth of his presence. Then maybe you should let someone remind you. I met his gaze. Adrian, he didn't look away. You don't have to fight alone anymore. The words hit harder than I expected. My throat tightened. I'm not looking for someone to save me. Good, he said softly. Because I'm not here to save you. I'm here to see you. I blinked, unsure how to respond. See me? He smiled faintly. The woman who walked through fire and came out standing. The one who still believes in tomorrow, even if she pretends she doesn't. I exhaled slowly. You make it sound like I'm worth something. You are, he said simply. You always were. Something inside me cracked, not the way it used to when I broke, but the way glass cracks before sunlight pours through. I don't know how to do this, I whispered. Do what? Let someone in again. He shrugged gently. Then start small. Let me stay. I hesitated, then nodded. Okay. We sat in silence, the hum of the city filling the space between us. For once, I didn't feel the need to fill it with words. He leaned back in his chair. You know, when I first met you, I thought you were dangerous. Dangerous? I laughed softly. Why? Because people who've lost everything either crumble or build something unbreakable. Which one am I? He met my eyes. You're the builder. I smiled, a real one this time. That's new. Get used to it, he said. The tension that had followed me for years began to ease, replaced by something I hadn't felt in a long time. Warmth, not dependence, not pity, just peace. Adrian, I said quietly. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. He smiled. Finally. And for the first time, I didn't run. I stayed, not because I needed saving, but because I finally understood my worth. The lights were bright again, chandeliers, cameras, champagne. A familiar scene, but this time, I wasn't the decoration. I was the name on the banner, honoring Elena Vale, CEO of Vale Dynamics, Visionary of the Year. Funny how the world spins. Sophie adjusted my bracelet before the ceremony. You ready? I think so. You've given speeches before. Not like this, I said. This one's full circle. She smiled. You deserve it. I looked around the ballroom, polished faces, fake laughter, expensive perfume. Maybe, or maybe I just finally learned how to stand. When I stepped onto the stage, applause thundered. I smiled, steady and sure, as I began my speech. Years ago, I said, my voice clear, I stood in a room like this, invisible. Tonight, I stand here not because I was rescued, but because I refused to disappear. The crowd clapped again. Polite, respectful, unaware of the ghosts sitting among them. Afterward, people lined up to shake my hand, to praise me, to claim they knew me. I played my part, smiling, nodding, pretending it was all normal, until I saw him. Ethan stood near the back, smaller somehow, a shadow of who he'd been. His suit fit poorly, his confidence gone. For a moment, our eyes met. He started walking toward me. Lena, he said quietly when he reached me. It's Elena, I corrected with a smile. He swallowed. You look incredible. Success has that effect. He shifted awkwardly. I didn't expect to see you here. I was invited, I said lightly. You? Just attending. The press wanted a quote on Valen Industries' closure. I nodded. Ah, so it's official. He gave a bitter laugh. You sound calm about it. I am. He looked down. You really moved on, didn't you? Yes, I said, finally. His voice softened. I'm happy for you, truly. I studied his face, the regret in his eyes, the weight of his own choices pressing on his shoulders. For the first time, I didn't feel pain, just distance. Ethan, I said gently, I don't hate you anymore. He blinked. You don't? No, I said, because hating you kept me tied to the past. I let it go. He gave a sad smile. You always were stronger than me. I shook my head. No, I just finally believed I was. He hesitated. Can we know? I interrupted kindly. We can't rewrite what's already done. He nodded slowly. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye, I whispered. He turned and walked away, fading into the crowd that once worshipped him. And I realized this was what closure felt like. Not triumph, not revenge, just peace. Adrian appeared beside me, holding 2 glasses of champagne. You handled that with grace. I'm learning, I said. He smiled. You already have. We toasted quietly. No grand declarations, no need for words. Just the calm of 2 people who'd survived their storms. The night wound down, and I stepped outside onto the balcony. The city glittered below, alive and indifferent, just like it had always been. For the first time, I didn't feel small beneath it. I took a breath, feeling the cool air against my skin, freedom in every inhaled dot in my reflection on the glass door behind me. I saw a woman I barely recognized, poised, calm, whole. I smiled and whispered to her, to the girl I once was. I thought revenge would heal me, but it was forgiveness of myself that set me free, and for the first time, I believed it.